And I'm excited to just kind of hear her. She's been here for what, over a year now. We can say over a year. So I'm going to pass it to you, Harriet. Take it away.
All right. Okay. I hope this comes out the way it happened in my brain, because I literally just brained up in my notes right after we had that. I think it was the Sunday night kind of like organization Zoom that we had. And it was just, we talked a little about just getting reorganized and setting yourself kind of like back on track and getting your thoughts together with where you're at in your business and in your life, and how sometimes we just feel totally out of whack. And literally after we got off that Zoom, I wrote this down. But then once again, I kind of went into that mode of like hesitating to walk into that leadership that I know I feel that I should be doing more of. And I'm like, well, you have this, you wrote it down. I even put on your training, and I didn't say anything. Then we had that alignment Zoom, and it really just smacked me in the face, because it made me realize how I wasn't so aligned. It made me realize where it stemmed from. Sometimes we go and we write our goals down, we have our vision, and we start going and we hit the ground running, and we hit some of those goals, but then here comes those thoughts of getting back into like the doubt and saying like, well, wow, should I really be doing this? Or, oh my gosh, like what next, right? And we always say, we're here to become more. Like M said one time, if you've grown in the time that you've been in this business, in this company, congratulations, because that's what it's about. It's about becoming the person that you need to be to get there. But along the way, life happens. Along the way, the enemy comes and puts those thoughts in your head like, who do you think you are? You can't do that, right? Okay, you hit 4K, what now? You can't do that again. And I completely psyched myself out. And that's where all this stemmed from. But I still kept showing up. Even through my insecurities, I don't know if it showed or not, but I still kept showing up. And that's why I said becoming through every season with this training, because every season brings out a different version of you. And you have to embrace it. And sometimes we don't want to see what we need to change. We don't want to see that we're retracting into a certain part of our comfort zone that keeps us safe. Like our mind is created to actually keep us safe. And sometimes we sabotage our progress by overthinking, by feeling like maybe I should show up differently. Maybe they're tired of seeing the same thing. And we just start like end up in a point where you're really not doing anything, or it shows across the screen that you're not feeling so secure about what you're doing anymore. And it affects your business. It affects how you feel. It affects your fulfillment, and you really start doubting your journey. And that's where I've been. And you guys see me, I still show up, but it's still, I've been showing up differently. I've been trying to get back to that person I was at the beginning of this year, where I was showing up differently. And I'm like, well, you still show up every day. Like, what's so different? But it's internal, right? And I've been working on the self-development. And I think this is just a trend, because this book, I'm going to read tonight too, a little bit from the book, because when you are growing and you're self-developing, you find certain things and you're like, oh my gosh, like the team needs to hear this, right? Like every woman, like it says, break up with your fears and revolutionize your life. And I slow read, I really do, but I can relate to Amber. This book I've never highlighted. I don't even like to highlight, because I keep saying I want to save my books and have them on the shelf and have like a little library of all my self-development. And I don't know if my kids are gonna ever want to read them, so I don't want to highlight. But I've been all up in this book, like even like bending the pages. So I wrote some things down, and I'm gonna read from the book here and there. But we have a choice. We have a choice to either stay in that place or regroup ourselves and reanalyze where we're at, right? When we look at the struggles that we may go through, I wrote on here that me not re-ranking as soon as I hit 4K, it was necessary for my growth. It was really necessary. How can I sit here and talk to the next person who may go through the things that I've gone through if I just kept going and hit 12K and hit 40K and just kept going? And it's like, how can I help that person? Because in all honesty, we know that it's not an overnight journey. The more we grow and the more we become, the more our business grows. So somewhere along the line, I got stuck in my growth, if that makes sense. Even though I felt like I was doing all the things, even with my self-development, I didn't walk into the next level leadership. I still haven't led a work with me. Like, I don't know, and this is probably just my third training that I've led, but you have to keep going. So let me read the first part that I have here, because she really made me get to a point where certain things in our life we don't realize that it's a moment of trauma. We might even realize that it's a moment of trauma that when something else happens that may trigger those same feelings, it halts us. Like, it makes us retract, it makes us put up the wall again, it makes us just walk in fear, right? So she was talking about a moment where she was in traffic and her husband was telling her to take another way, and she just felt anxious, and she's like, I'd rather sit on this highway and just stay in this traffic instead of taking all these back turns that he's telling me to take, because he knows LA and all this stuff. She's like, and that's what I'm going to read. She said, and this is the moment my anxiety buckles up in the back seat and begins making unnecessary commentary. Our mind, right? It starts racing, it starts saying those negative thoughts. She starts saying, you should have never started this journey to begin with. Now compare this to your business and the thoughts that you may tell yourself when you start going through things that you even feel like it's not happening quick enough. You should have never started this journey to begin with. If you fail, it's going to prove what everyone has been talking about you. Right? And that's exactly what happened to me. I've been in so many MLMs that as soon as I hit a rank, I'm like, oh my gosh, all these years, I've never hit a rank. Now what? Right? I'm like, oh my gosh. So everyone's looking at me. They're probably talking about me. What now? Oh, you hit a rank. Oh, are you going to quit your job now? Oh, is this your full-time income now? Like, oh, what happens now? You hit a bonus. I was even scared to speak on the fact that I have to re-earn my bonus every month. I think that's what really psyched me out, like, no, I don't have and I would talk about it, but I would feel so like, is that going to make someone not want to join me because, oh, I have to like re-earn every month and get my payout? No, it's because, who's going to give you just $4,000, $12,000 at once? Like, it's about building a solid business, not just taking the money and running, right? So that just, now that I look at it, it just means that my team needs to grow more, right? It needs to grow to get to that place where we're like compounded on and we're growing steadily, and it's something that's like unshakable, right? But that also let me know that I needed to grow more as a leader, to bring on other leaders and to grow my team. But in that moment, I just felt like everything was just on me and I can't do it. And instead of saying, okay, I'm 4K now, guess what? I need to make other 4Ks, right? Like, I need to bring other people. I can't do it on my own. So she said, but then there's that little mustard seed faith in the passenger seat whispering, just be patient. Right? That little mustard seed faith is what still has me here, even though I went through that moment, this period of time, which has probably been like 6 months now, where I'm there because I love it so much. And I know it's going to happen. It's like inevitable if you don't quit, right? But as you don't quit, you can be just like, we always say it, failing forward. That's what I really feel like I've been doing, failing forward, right? Somewhere in the distance, my future is waiting while I muster enough strength to finally get my life moving. Meanwhile, my present is frozen behind the steering wheel, trying to determine if I can perform under these conditions. I literally was in this book like, wow. Indecision is defined in the inability to make a decision quickly. It's easy to move quickly when you aren't burdened down, but when you are heavy, you can't move as quickly. More than anything, what weighs us down internally are the thoughts that our fear, shame, past, and insecurities create. If we could peek inside the mind of a person experiencing indecision, we would see that generally they aren't suffering from a lack of vision. We all have the vision. It's there. Lost it. Where is it? Who? Vision, but rather the cloudiness that comes with playing out too many potential outcomes of that vision. Overthinking. My goodness, overthinking has, and let me know if I'm not, I probably can't see the chat, but like, if I know I'm not alone in this, right? I wrote down on here, we pray for the same like testimony, even though we know that we can't compare ourselves to our leaders' journey, like our upline and all that. We can't compare it, but we look at their testimony of strength and survival as we witness from them, right? but it's almost like we don't want we don't want the struggle that produces that strength. It's like we run from that struggle. In the end, we run from it. We go in fear, right? We start complaining. We doubt we're capable of enduring it, of enduring the race, right? Others can make it look easy, but when you are the one earning the strength, it hits different, right? So you have to go through it, because when you go through that and you endure and you get stronger, it's like you become intimately acquainted with the struggle. And when you become intimately acquainted with that struggle, you start to embrace it. You start to see it differently. It's like a perspective shift, right? So you don't know until you know. Self-awareness. You have to almost like every quarter, reanalyze your life and your business and where you're at. Okay, what I've done and what I haven't done, according to the goal that I want to get to. Who do I need to become? But have I really done all of that? If not, I need to retract and take care of this part, uproot this issue, work on that, then keep going. You can't keep those patches in your journey, because then it's not going to be solid. It's not going to be solid. An analogy that I wrote down on here was, think about when you reorganize your kitchen. We try to go buy I've done it. We buy the containers and we're like, I'm gonna put this in here, I'm gonna put this in here, and put this in here. This is gonna go here, 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 and I'm gonna organize it. It's like you have to do the same thing for your life. Find that balance and reorganize it and say, okay, I'm gonna open this up and work on this. Keep this lid closed. Not let this stress me out. I can't control this right now. Let me work on this. Then go on to the next, right? But we want to do it all. We want to just, I got this, right? And that's what we always talk about. Like, we're equipped for every part of this journey, but we still have to let God lead us into each part. You cannot handle one part if you haven't become strong enough or have the wisdom enough to go to the next. It's just impossible. And we become overwhelmed, and then we're wondering why we're so like, don't even know exactly what's going on, right? When you reorganize all those thoughts and those emotions in appropriate size containers, right? Label them, right? But be careful, because some of those may need relabeling. Like you might label yourself like saying, okay, well, I've never been successful before, so I'll just make it to this far, and I'll just stop here. I won't dream as big, right? So you have to be careful, because you have to watch those labels that you place on yourself, or those labels that you might allow others to place on you. You have to be so solid in your vision and those correct labels and what you're going to work on, and stick to them so true and unapologetically that you don't let no one else steer you from it. Because it's hard enough how much we lie to ourselves in our own minds. It's like that tunnel vision, right? So once you start seeing it properly, you embrace it, even though it's a struggle. I had to embrace the fact that I'm still where I'm at. Like, I had to embrace the fact that the next month my sales dropped $3,000. I'm like, I feel like this over $3,000. And I heard Mallory say hers dropped like 40K in 1 month. I wasn't ready for that. Like we can't rush the process. We cannot rush it. So another thing that I really highlighted was, it says the mind becomes the arena where thoughts duel to the finish. Each thought competes to take the lead and run our lives. We think one day the competition will reveal a winner, but in reality, it's a never-ending battle until we actively intervene and make a decision. Self-awareness, right? The whirlwind of thoughts often blinds us from recognizing that they really have only two origins. They are birth. I don't know if that's birth. Yeah, birth, either from our faith or from our fear. Our fears pretend to keep us safe. Our faith demands we draw on courage we aren't sure we possess. If fear didn't feel so comfortable and faith wasn't so expensive, indecision would vanish and confidence would emerge. And faith is expensive, because sometimes faith Like, it makes us look crazy, right? You know how many people probably look at us like, look at these girls, like, right? How many people in your family like that little business? I always laugh when I see those reels. What you mean little business? You know what it takes to put myself out there? You know what it takes to know that some people are probably laughing at me? You know what it takes to know that, like, I don't care what you say. I know that one day, even if it's 5 years from now, I'm going to be that 6-figure mom, and I don't care what you got to say about it. It takes a lot of courage. We may lose some people. We may realize that everyone's not meant to come along in that journey. That's why faith is so expensive. And when we let fear and the opinions of others, like, keep us where we're at, it's like, it feels comfortable. Like, okay, well, nobody's going to talk about me. They're not going to say I'm crazy. I'm just going to go to 9 to 5 forever like everybody else and take that one vacation, maybe a vacation every 2 years. It's comfortable. It's so comfortable to get in your mind and say, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm done. It's too hard. I'm not going to do it. Too much stress. I don't know how I'm going to make it. I know I want more, but you already know I'm going to tell you that feeling that you have, that you can't let it go, that's God showing you that that's your purpose. And he's walking you through it. The testing of your faith produces endurance, and you have to keep going. We always say you're going to be so proud of who you're going to become through it all, even through those struggles. It's so easy to fall right back into the same patterns that we had before. It takes so much time to create new habits. And just like that, you can go right back to the old ones. So easy. So you have to keep going. Where else? I had one more page I wanted to read, y'all. I hope this is making sense. Okay, I think it was page 49. Okay, so when you begin this journey of embracing what you didn't want to see, right? Fear almost still makes us be almost in denial, right? We don't want to like analyze ourselves and see where we're lacking and work on it. So once you start embracing that, what you didn't want to see, it won't always feel good. Sometimes it will be downright scary and uncomfortable. That's okay. You can keep moving even in the scary and uncomfortable. I've been there this whole time, I'm telling y'all. You will come to a place where you look back over your life and you recognize that your development didn't take place because everything went the right way. No, when you take inventory of your life, you will see that you were developed because you went through the fire and came out more refined. Walking through those fires, y'all, right? Like a diamond in the rough. A diamond has to be pressed through to become what it becomes, right? So one thing that I got from this is like, exercise this next time, like you start staring down or circumstances you just rather not see. Like we try to avoid it and we try to just, like for myself, like I started watching more TV. Like I'm like, when you ranked up, I went 6 months. I promise y'all I didn't watch no TV. I would read in the morning, read at night. Now I read like 1 or 2 pages and I want to turn the episode back on. And I'm like, why do you feel like, why you don't have nothing to go live about? I haven't been reading, right? So it's like it's so easy to just like be in ignorance and try to act like you don't know what's wrong. But we know what's wrong. We know when we start falling off. I know I was eating all them snacks over the summer and I gained 10 pounds again. Right? It's like our body is our business. Being as healthy as we can be, of course, it's not perfect. I don't hesitate to put my flip on, even though it has candy. I'm like, but it's yogurt. I love my flip, but I've been making better choices. I have a salad in my flip. It's about that progress, guys. So it's just embrace it and think about this. Ask yourself, I wonder what good could come of this. I wonder what good could come of looking and switching that perspective. Okay, something didn't go the way I wanted it to. It's not happening the way I saw it. Just like I thought they wouldn't come in here during this What good could come of this? They're seeing their mama embrace it, even though they're tornadoes, right? Like, just change your thoughts, because we have a choice every day to switch them. And yeah, we go through funks, and yes, we have those doubts, but switch it. You have the power to switch those thoughts and really make the best of it. And if you're not learning from those, maybe like even mistakes or failing forward or things that happen to you in your life, okay, baby, if you're not learning from them, that's the root of the problem as well, because you're not taking the lesson out of it. You're not switching your perspective. You're not seeing what you can learn from it. And that's life. It's learning. And then in our position, we're gonna have women that are gonna come behind us who are probably gonna go, man, you know how many of us go through a lot of the same things? And that's why we go through those struggles. And when your purpose in this life is big, that's when more attacks come. Okay? That's when the enemy is like, oh no, she's up, what? She's growing, what? She's into her word, she's learning more, she's uplifting other women. Oh, let me stop her. Let me get in her ear. Let me tell her that she can't do it. Let me tell her that she ain't worthy. Remember when you was in your past, right? Start reminding you of all those things and make you feel like you can't. But you can't. And your growth depends on someone else's life changing. Think about that. Right? Your transparency, and this is one of my favorite quotes, like, your transparency will unlock someone else's prison. Your transformation will unlock someone else's prison. Because, like, the other day when I posted about, I don't know if you guys saw it, when I posted about, like, I go in my stories and I talk about it, but then, we might post kind of like the same thing. I was in my stories saying, like, oh my gosh, I forgot about payday. Like, I needed Pampers and I needed gas. And I'm like, you guys know, I don't sugarcoat stuff. Like, I have months where it's really good and I have the extra for my gas and my Pampers, but there's weeks where it's like, oh my goodness, where is it coming from? And that week I literally forgot about payday. I don't know what, but it came right on time. And I posted about it. Do you know that I have family? I have my children's father. Oh, they don't have a dad. Okay. You're not consistent. I'm a single mom. I don't feel like I can call you and say, do whatever. I'm speaking on my own struggles. You have to embrace the seasons that you're in and don't be afraid to talk about the struggles. Because I'm like, you know what? It felt uncomfortable. Like, sometimes when you hit that post button, you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have posted that. Maybe, what are they going to say? But you switch it and you say, there's another mom out there going through the same thing. I'm like, I know there's another mom out there who ain't got no gas to get to even buy the Pampers. So I did it anyway. And a lot of times, it may not happen immediately, but you're going to get somebody inbox and say, man, thank you for posting that. You inspired me to want to do something different and not want to be in the same place next year. So just keep going, because even if you can take out a small particle of goodness in the dark season and what you're going through, imagine what God can do, because we're meant to partner with God in everything that we do. So you keep doing what you can do. Don't stress over what you can't control, and let God do what only God can do. And it's going to be a beautiful thing. And that's all I got.
Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it. 24 minutes. And that is the best 24 minutes that, like, we needed right now. Everybody on this Zoom right now needed that message tonight. And I just love it. And I urge you, I'm not going to, like, talk your ear off at the end of the Zoom, but I do urge you guys to go listen to Craig Groeschel. He has I don't know if it's one of his podcast episodes, but on YouTube, Craig Groeschel, he's got the leadership podcast that I listen to. He's one of the pastors for Life Church, right? And he has a video called Dangerous Prayers. And I love that he talks about, like, a lot of people pray superficially. They pray like, God, like, please bless me, my business, like, show me my next step, like all these things, right? But, like, be bold enough to pray, like, give me the wisdom, right? Give me the strength. Give me what I need to be able to be that leader for somebody else. But also in asking and praying those bold prayers, you best be ready to catch the answer, right? You best be ready whenever he takes somebody from your team, whenever somebody decides to leave, whenever your customer decides, hey, she leaves you till the end of the month at the last minute and she swears to you that she's going to order and she doesn't, and she leaves you, right, on red, and you were depending on that sale for the end of the month, right? He'll check you real quick. He'll check your perspective. He'll check your ego, but you've got to be prepared to look at yourself, just like Harriet was saying, in that moment and say, okay, well, how am I growing from this? Right. The fact that somebody came in, right, and they decide to stay for X amount of time and they leave. What did I learn from it? Did they learn from me in that moment? Was I something of value to them that maybe I grew them a little bit and they can go on and do something else that they were meant to do? Right. Look at it a little bit different. It's not always a bad situation. It's not always something that's stunting your growth. In the moment, it's going to feel like it's stunting your growth. It's going to feel like whenever you're not re-ranking and somebody leaves your team and all these things happen, it's gonna hurt. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there's moments where it's like, damn, like really, but it's really not stunting your growth. It's preparing you for that next level. Okay. Just like Harry was saying, that was the best 24 minutes I think we've had on Zoom in a long time. I loved it. I love you guys. We're gonna hop off, go get some rest. I will sleep tomorrow night, but that's another story for another day. Okay, love you. Bye.